are considered a top contender team in the East. Is this game a test for you, for your team, playing like caliber championship teams?
Every game is a test in its own way, but this is a great test. It's a great home court, great team that is going to be hungry for the game. They seem like they're priming up right now, especially in bigger games for them. We beat them earlier in the year, so they're going to be highly motivated. So both teams are going to be excited to play. It's a great opportunity for us to test ourselves, improve as we head into the last 17, 18 games here.
Mark, just with their personnel, they seem uniquely qualified to switch, and that's what they do at a high level. Is there anything beyond the individual defenders, the team aspect of the defense that they do at a really high level?
They're really well coached. I mean, they're really well prepared. They have great schemes that they execute in a machine-like way. You don't see them have a lot of confusion, breakdowns, lack of organization, and so I think that's a testament to the preparation and then the execution by the team. And so they just don't beat themselves very often on either end of the floor. And then they've got talent on both ends of the floor, and when you add that up, that's why they're as good as they are and have been as good as they are.
The other night, Kaysen had career high in assists and was getting a lot of those secondary playmaking opportunities. What do you feel like he's learned in those situations when teams are really trying to take Shea out of it?
Yeah, I mean, he's really improved. But the great thing about him was his defensive talent and competitiveness allowed us to put him on the court. The minute he studied, I think he started his first preseason game as a rookie. So he's played a lot of minutes. He's played in big games. He's played a lot for a guy that's as early in his career for a team that's a pretty high level team. And so he's gotten the reps and he's developed nicely. And he's a guy that's highly impactful for us now, but that does have a lot of runways. 21 years old or whatever he is, and so he's got 3 years before his prime hits. Which is exciting, and it's important for us to not look at him as a finished product, even though he's already very impactful. He's still a developmental player and can get a lot better, especially on offense. And you're starting to see glimpses of that this season.
Mark, I wonder. I don't think you meant to do this morning, but in listing sort of what you wanted to see with Dub out, you were listing wing guys, and you kind of lumped Chet in there. I don't know if you meant to do that, but since he's been back and he's playing some forward, has the way you view him positionally broadened at all?
No, it hasn't broadened from last season. I think that his skill set is his skill set, his strengths are his strengths. I don't think who else is on the court with him should change any player's style of play, including his. But that makes him unique at the 5. It also makes him unique when we have another big out there. But it is going to open up opportunities for all those guys, including him. Because we're going to need some creation from all of them, including him. And so, like I said, I wish we had everybody available. By the way, Caruso's out tonight. I was supposed to mention that off the top. But we'd like to have everybody available, but when they're not, there's always an opportunity to grow the team. And we try to take that opportunity as a silver lining anytime we're missing somebody.
Mark, I know you talked about it after last game, but that permanent sub idea you did with Dylan. When you're considering something like that, you're about to go up against Jokic, is that something you think about before it happens, or is that sort of reacting? I know you mentioned it happened similarly in the game against Golden State, but is that something you anticipate doing, and how often do you study different ways to exploit your rules or find different ways to get advantages like that?
I commented on it after the game. It's over now. It's at the end of the day, we just want a fair shake, in terms of the application of the rules. And if we're not getting a fair shake, I think it's part of my job for our team to make sure we get one.
Mark, the Celtics went out for Jenkins tonight. How are they different without him?
Significantly. I mean, he's similar to Chet. The combination of rim protection and then floor spacing is a really impactful thing, because it really helps you win the rim on both ends. It shuts off the rim on one end, but then it keeps the paint open on the other. And when he's out there, that certainly changes the dynamic of how they attack and how they play and what they're capable of. But that opens up more space. They're a great team, and usually when you open up more space, more opportunity on a great team, there's guys that can step in, and I think you've seen that all season. But Boston's always missing one guy, it almost seems like, and yet these other guys step in there with a lot of confidence. We try to be like that as well. We've missed a lot of guys, and it opens things up. So it definitely changes them, but doesn't make them any less dangerous.
Mark, how is having the double bigs this year change your team, allow you to do different things? And you kind of look at that as a matchup thing in terms of going up against other teams, the lineup
Well, Hartenstein specifically has changed us because of the physicality around the basket, the rebounding on both ends, the screen setting, the rolling. He's a big that, is very unique to what we've had. He's been new, so it's been an acquired process, and he's done a great job. The team's done a great job. Because of his impact, we've been able to grow and have some growing pains and still have success, but it doesn't mean that it was a finished product at the beginning. And as for matchups, we're trying to not make assumptions about it. We've only had Chet back with Hartenstein healthy for a short period of time, so we're trying not to assume anything and throw it out there in situations that may not even be, seem ideal, to see what we have and to see what we need to work on. And again, those guys are such high impact players that we've done that and been able to endure those minutes even when it hasn't been a masterpiece, because their impact on both ends of the floor.
Mark, just going back to Chet, again with Dugout, have you had conversations with him as far as what this stretch can mean for him? Obviously, the kind of injury Dub has, at least a week probably out. Have you had conversations with Chet as far as what this opportunity could be? Anything like that?
Those things speak for themselves, and the biggest thing is, when a role expands, it doesn't expand their style of play. Like I said, they all have their own style of play that needs to be impactful, it needs to be efficient, and it's centered around their game. And usually when guys are out, it expands their opportunity and expands their minutes. It could expand their role, but it shouldn't necessarily change very much about how they play. How they play should be how they play. And we try to have a system where, if you're missing somebody or you put a different lineup on the floor, people don't need to change their fingerprint. They can just continue to do what they do at a high level, and it should be able to net out, and Chet's no different than that. And we've had some success doing that with all these guys.
You've spoken on it before, but what kind of imprint did Al Horford make in his year there? And just did you see, at 38 years old, what he's still able to do?
Yeah, when he won a championship here, there was no one, I don't think I've been around that I was happier to see he's a champion, and he should have a championship. The champions should have championships, and it doesn't always work out like that. And so I have great respect for Al. And he was with us at a time of a lot of instability. It was COVID. It was the year after the bubble, so it was a shortened season. We had just completely flipped our team over. We made multiple trades in a very short period of time going to training camp, and we're starting our build. And so there was it was kind of a weird time, and it was a time, it was a new coaching staff, or at least a new coaching staff in terms of our positions. We were all in the organization, but we were in new spots, and there was a lot of things you probably could have poked holes in. It was like a very imperfect time, and the thing that always stands out to me about him is he was never cynical. And the season's long, there's a lot of ups and downs. The game's long, there's a lot of ups and downs. If you want to find something not to like or find something to be critical of, you're always going to be able to find it. And here's a guy that has played high level basketball. He's a veteran player. He got traded to us in a weird circumstance. It obviously wasn't a permanent situation. I think everybody was very clear on that. And yet he was so invested in our team, so invested in every game, so invested in their guys, and always optimistic, always looking for solutions, never cynical. And it had a huge impact on the foundational year of the build. And also personally for me, it's something I've always appreciated because it was at a time where I was brand new and trying to establish myself with our team. And he only made that easier, so I have nothing bad to say. Obviously, I have nothing bad to say about Al.
Joe Mazzulla,
This will be the last one for Coach.
Okay, thanks. Joe Mazzulla loved to mix up some of the matchup. Having the game before, he put Luke Cornett on Aaron Wiggins. Or do you anticipate those moves that want to maybe punish the lack of spacing that you might have?
Yeah, I think they do that more than anybody. Some of that's roster, and some of that's just their stomach for doing it. They'll do some stuff that's very, uncharacteristic, unpredictable. They move it around pretty fluidly during the game. And even, if you want to try to match up hunt against them, they're kind of wired to keep themselves out of trouble. And so what we found playing against them is you can't get distracted by their unpredictability. If you do, they're going to stay a step ahead of you the whole game. So it's a credit to them. That's hard to play against. It's hard to prepare for. It kind of takes some menu options off the table when you play against them, and that's what good coaches do. It's great teams do, and he's a great coach and they're a great team.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.
Take care, Brian.